in 1 Timothy chapter 5, he basically said the same stuff, the same things to Timothy about elders and younger people and how they're supposed to behave. But this chapter even more so goes about discussing confronting members on various issues. If you look at the handout, church family style, and we read, I just read from Timothy, but if you add to that Timothy 5:1. It says, "Do not sharply rebuke an older man, but rather appeal to him as a father, to the younger men as brothers, to the older women as mothers, and the younger women as sisters, in all purity." And so, as a group, and the older men, you don't want to step on the toes of the elders of your church. And in this case, elders didn't necessarily mean the church leadership.
Right.
It just meant older men in general. Every group has a set of elders. I don't care if it's a high school football team or a church. There's a group of guys, there's a group of people that need and deserve the respect of being older and wiser and
Experienced.
Thank you, more experienced. And we can learn from them. We may not necessarily agree with their point of view on something.
Most generally, we won't agree with their philosophy.
Right.
That's old school. Yeah, that's
right.
Not until we're their age and go, oh wow, they were really
Yeah.
smart.
Boy, they learned a lot in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's we don't want to step on their toes because, we may need their help on something else. We need to negotiate with them as we would with our Father.
Somebody asked me one time how I believed about drinking and smoking, and I said, well, smoking's harmful to your body. Drinking can lead you to be harmful to somebody else. And they said, well, how do you feel about going to movies? I said, can't afford them. And they said, well, how would you feel about going to a movie if you could afford it? I said, if it's R-rated or worse, I won't go. And they said, well, why? I said, well, it's just a standard that I have. And they said, well, that sounds like old school. I said, well, old school wouldn't even let you think about going to the movie. Old school wouldn't let you have a TV in the house.
Yeah.
So I'm not old school. I have a standard, and that's what I live by.
Right. And people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Today and it's kind of funny because if you look at movies that have come out in this year, the bigger movies up until this last couple of weeks, the bigger grossing movies have been the PG and PG-13 movies.
Yeah.
This year. We've seen more family-friendly movies coming out in the last 5 years.
One of our daughters got us a Blu-ray CD or DVD for Christmas. Ours wasn't working. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a Blu-ray anyway, but this one plays both.
Right.
And she also let us use a DVD that she and I watched by ourselves last night. Last Ounce of Courage. And it's such a sad movie, but such a message for today about the church taking a stand.
Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Oh my.
Deanne said we could loan it out. Do you have?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It is good,
Should've
Todd.
brought it today.
It's really good.
It'll make you cry.
It'll make you cry at the
Make you
end.
feel like you're not reaching the goal that you should be for Christ. And put a hungering in for you to do more.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, the church is not taking its stand.
No, it
We're letting
isn't.
the bullies of the world
And that bully's in the movie.
push us around.
Yeah,
We're letting the bully call us the bully,
right.
and we're taking it. We're not. We're not working with each other. We're not. The younger people aren't looking to the older people for encouragement, and the older people aren't encouraging the younger people enough. There's a big gap, and part of it, there's that mentality. Well, they're not listening to me anyway, so I may as well just shut up.
Right.
But we can't.
Yeah. And churches have become in hibernation with one another.
I mean, we have got to take this truth and live it. We can't let the world say, well, it's not that bad. It's only a few words, or it's only a butt shot. Well, it's a butt that I shouldn't be seeing. Bottom line. And the older women, we're supposed to treat them as we would our mother. With respect and dignity. The younger women, I thought it was neat. Paul added on to the end of that, guarding their purity. With all purity, we are responsible as not just as leaders in the church, but as men, older and younger, to protect the purity of women.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Paul put it on younger women, but it's our responsibility to protect the purity of older women as well.
Right.
And we do that, and they will have a better understanding of what a man is supposed to be and how they are supposed to be treated. We all have a responsibility, and why is it important to follow these instructions in our relationships?
We don't really know what we're doing without them.
We
just to do what's right.
we have a commission to teach others. And if we don't follow the instruction book, we won't be able to teach other people.
Right. And if we don't start at home,
Right.
Either the church itself or our own homes, if we don't do what we say to do in those situations, our witness is lost.
Right.
If you're doing one thing and saying another, that's not a very good witness, and kids pick up on that real quick.
Right. The church is a family. It's not a club. It's not a business. It's a family.
You're right.
A family that and in families you accept each other for who they are, regardless of what they do, regardless of what they say or how they behave. You love them.
You try hard. Yes, you do. Some family members cannot do that, though.
That is true. And there's.
And I'm not talking about church. I'm talking about
individual families, right? It's
like our daughter that's in prison. Some of her sisters just won't communicate at all, and that what they're doing is digging a hole deeper for themselves, and they won't hear that. They're above that. So the message you give them is not going to penetrate. Somebody else is going to have to do it.
Right. hopefully someday that will happen.
Hopefully it gets across that if you don't love your brother, there's no love of God in you.
Yeah, and I had my best friend in high school was in prison for attempted sexual assault. Was in prison out in California, and then was arrested again in Wisconsin and spent another 10 years in prison in Wisconsin. I never stopped loving him.
Yeah.
But it's hard to love people when they do things like that.
It is, especially when you have children.
Yeah. Especially when it happens in your family.
Right.
But